Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for Monday, June 6, 2016. Here's the latest on Tropical Storm Colin, disorganized as it may be, down here in the northeast Gulf of Mexico, poised for a landfall of the center of the storm in the Big Bend area, and then moving up along parts of the southeast coast over the next day or so before finally heading out to sea from there. Now, this is the latest visible satellite animation, and you can see the low-level center in here somewhere not very well organized, and that's good news, obviously, for folks up here along the Florida coastline, because you don't need a hurricane headed your way. And with the upper-level winds streaming generally out of the southwest here, blowing the tops of the thunderstorms away from the center, not allowing it to align and vertically stack, that should remain the case. This will remain disorganized, and you can see just a broad turning overall, better defined center of circulation right in there. But overall, this is not a very well organized system, but it is bringing some heavy rainfall. You can see in these convective blobs here, moving across just north of Tampa now, and the rest of the peninsula will fill in with moisture. Some of that rainfall heavy, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Here's a look at the upper level winds. This is the tropical storm in here, and those upper level winds moving across the storm system instead of fanning out clockwise evenly like we would expect to see if this were a hurricane in a well ventilated environment. In this case, the winds are blowing across the top of it, kind of like blowing out a candle. The flame, if it's in a still room, is vertical and it doesn't flicker very much. But then when you just blow it out, the blow across it, then it snuffs it out. Well, the wind shear isn't enough to snuff Colin out completely, but it is enough to keep it from strengthening too much further than where it is now. So that's good news. But it does have these areas of heavy rain moving in, as I showed you on the visible satellite. This is the radar. And by the way, I love this nice large image from the National Weather Service, because I can show you the big picture quite literally. Some of the rainfall loosely associated with Colin, the moisture from it in this front that's draping south, slowly sagging to the south and east, and that'll help to push the storm offshore, by the way. So rain is breaking out across the Carolinas back into Georgia, tapping into some of this tropical moisture down here, again indirectly associated with Colin. But this is all going to move across the peninsula into the interstate system. I-75, parts of it already starting to get impacted. So slow it down out there. You think about Highway 17 up here in the Carolinas, the coastal highway as they call it. Be careful along there. I-95 as well. We want you back to be able to watch these videos in the future, so slow down. I'm very serious about that. If you have people that you know are traveling through this region, let them know, hey, look, Mark from HurricaneTrack.com and Hurricane Pro and HD apps said, look, slow down out there. It is a very serious thing. You can break the traffic laws, but you can't break the laws of physics. That's the way I look at it. You usually don't win when you do that. So the rainfall is expected to be the big story here. Some of these areas more than 6 inches just off the North Carolina coast. Plenty of areas of 5 inches plus along the Florida peninsula. So rain should be the bigger story across this region. I do want to point out one thing, though. The storm surge up here in the Big Bend area is where it will be the most significant. And we're looking at about a 1 to 3 foot rise in water above ground level. And that's with any area of onshore flow. So this is really a small storm surge event. It's not life-threatening as long as you use common sense. And you can see some of that onshore flow moving up in through here. The usual storm surge prone areas can expect that with this system. Luckily, because it is large and spread out, the wind field is large as well, and so you're not creating that concentrated punch of storm surge like you would have in a hurricane, for example. But just keep in mind, rain, I think, is the biggest hazard, followed by the coastal surge and some wave action right along the immediate beach fronts there. And the Gulf can get churned up pretty good, as you know, if you live in that area. Even though it's been more than a decade since you've had a hurricane proper, you still have to think, okay, yeah, this makes sense, and make sure that boat is secure if you haven't done it already. Probably running out of time. And again, the message here, common sense should prevail, and hopefully Colin can come and go and we won't have any loss of life. That is the number one goal, and then to save as much property as we can is the secondary goal to that. And in this situation, I don't see much risk to property outside of the immediate coast, and the possibility of a tornado here and there should be minimal at the worst case scenario. All right? So that's what I've got for today. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Hope you learned something. Not much really to add to this. It's coming in, not a huge impact event, so, covered what I could, and that's about it. Have a good rest of your Monday afternoon. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. That's my website, of course. And for Hurricane Pro and HD, I'll be back talking with you again tomorrow.